Welcome to Imagining Bridges to Better Leadership, the podcast where we explore how to strengthen teams, enhance communication, and elevate leadership skills in organizations just like yours. Each week, you'll gain actionable tips, expert advice, and inspiring stories to help you create thriving teams and sharpen your leadership skills. Now here's your host, Dr. K.D. Neal, ready to guide you on the path to better leadership.
I'll conquer mountains, cross the sea. Nothing is impossible, just believe.
Imagining Bridges to Better Leadership podcast. I am your host, Dr. K.D. Neal, and I have a wonderful, exciting guest with us on today.
Well, you're building that out, man.
Extremely entertaining.
I've been called worse. Yes, go ahead.
As you can tell, Phil and I know each other. We've known each other for a little while now. And when we first met, it was just like kindred spirits. We just kind of meshed together. But Phillip Bogolub.
Yeah. Go ahead. You got it.
He's the owner of Bogolub Records. And in his former life, he was an engineer with an MBA and worked in the medical device field for over 25 years. His many life experiences and extensive travels around the world has led him to transform philosophy of the mind called Ajanoi. Did I get that right?
Ajanoi. Don't worry about it. It's a weird word. Don't worry about it.
It is centered on the awareness that everything he has experienced was intentionally designed for him to be where he is now. Now, I like that. This opened up opportunities to a childhood dream of becoming a music producer, movie creator, composer, philosopher of the mind, and you are never too old and it is never too late to dream the dream of dreamers until it becomes real in the physical universe. I love that. Welcome with me, Phillip Bogolub.
Yeah, yay. Hey. Well, I'm thrilled to be on. One of the things that you and I, among many things that we're on the same frequency, is you're real. And it's the realness. I don't know who's listening, but you probably remember Johnny Carson. And one of the things that was amazing about him, why he was so successful, is he pre-recorded his show, but he never edited the show. And I always thought that was very unique, because he wanted the flubs and the embarrassments, like in the monologue or whatever, or the silly or something coming out of the guest's mouth. He's like, and I think that's what's important about doing any kind of presentation or show, because I don't like the polished. Anybody can be polished, but I want genuine. I think
realness is very important. Realness is very important. That's why
we get along so well, and that's what Kevin brings to. I'm thrilled that he has his own show now, because he has a lot of genuineness, and I'm not just saying that because we've become friends and stuff, but it's just you're just genuine.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I'll pay you after the show.
He pays me in dark chocolate, so it's okay. That's my favorite. I don't want money. I want chocolate.
Well, listen, for just the first 30 seconds, Phil, just kind of brag on yourself. Tell me what you love about Phil.
Oh, just a minute. I'm the best looking. What I love about Phil, I'm always looking to improve. And those that claim to be the wise men are sure the fool. One of the things that I have learned, I'm 62, and these realizations didn't start happening until my 50s. And you have to build up a lot of experience in life to be able to figure out, when we call them mistakes, I call them spiritually guided detours, but the mistakes that's how you learn. Mm-hmm. These challenges that is in front of you. So to sum up what makes who I am, it's the people around me. I part of the philosophy I have, there's two things. You can live your life as an I or a we. When you live your life as an I, it's all about me. Me, you. I don't want to talk about it. I'm putting you on mute. Me. And when we do a we, that's how you succeed. I don't care who or what is anybody, from the president of a country to the president of a company to the family to parents, whoever it is, friends. You don't you can't grow as an Apple, oh, I did it all myself. Horse hockey. You did it because there was a lot of other people that you attracted to you, and you used that and worked together in collaboration, because I think that's the most important thing. And that's so what I feel about me, and what's the best thing about me, is I've learned through life's experience that the best things in life are as a we, and in using collaboration of, I don't know everything. And I don't want to know everything. And that's what's going on with a lot of the stuff with the movie that we've talked about and everything else in my life. And I think that's how it describe me.
Great, great. And not to be confused with the Nintendo Wii, but we as in you and I.
Great. Now I got that stupid, what's the little jumping guy again? Mario.
Mario,
Did it. Great. I got that. You're right. I'm not pitching Wii, the machine. Wii, W-E. Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah. Yes, absolutely.
So I want to kind of get to your movie, but first I want to kind of talk about some things concerning leadership, since this is the Imagining Bridges to Better Leadership podcast. First, tell me, how did your earlier career choices lead you to where you are now?
I didn't know it, but I was learning how to give energy, not take energy. I was learning how to, because I was a sport engineer. Mm-hmm. I was, and that was my main job. Yeah, I learned how to help design stuff, but my engineering degree, you could not put me in front of a screen and do all the calculus. That's just not the kind of engineer I was, and or even am today. But those experiences of supporting people and being there and realizing, again, I didn't know it. I'm going to Kevin. He's been spinning his wheels. He's working on some medical equipment. They're losing hundreds of thousands of dollars a day on the CT scanner, the MRI, whatever the medical equipment is. And the place I worked for was an X-ray tube. It's the manufacturer of the device that creates radiation. So if you're an X-ray or anything, that device that you hear spinning up, or you hear in the CAT scanner or whatever, that's what creates radiation. That's the stuff I was involved with. And I was actually, and I didn't understand it at the time, that I was so satisfied in my job that I was making a difference, but behind the scenes, which is totally fine with me. I didn't care. So I'd be sitting in the room after something was fixed, and they wouldn't even ask who I was in the corner, because it didn't matter. I had the satisfaction of helping this person out, and the glorious ability to see somebody who got diagnosed with a disease because of it, or got diagnosed without a disease in front of me. And I saw a lot of blicky stuff, as you might want to say. Mm-hmm. But what led to that, and then I was in charge of the laboratory. It's not like a Frankenstein laboratory. I picture young Frankenstein now with Gene Wilder going, "It's alive!" No, it wasn't like that. But in charge of the lab, I learned how to make an X-ray tube. I didn't do very well at it, but I just all these different things and experiences, and learning how to interact with people, learning how to listen, learning how to speak, learning how to create an idea in my mind of talking to you on the phone, because it was before all this stuff was available, and creating a picture in somebody's mind, because I had to give them, because the first thing I did when I come to Kev, how you doing? Oh man, this is, let's go get a cup of coffee. No, not in the cafeteria in the hospital. Let's go down to the restaurant over here. And you talk about your family. I might not even know you. It doesn't matter. And that's the biggest thing more than anything. Learning how to travel, when I graduated college the first time, I went back as an adult to get a bunch of my engineering degree and my MBA, but the first time this is a long time ago, this was in 1985, there was no automatic deposit. And when you flew place, and again, I'm like 21 years old or 22, or whatever I was, and I'm like, I didn't know how to write checks. I mean, I knew a little bit, but I had to save my receipts. I had to budget. I had to fill out this. I had to send it in and get it approved. I have to go through all the receipts. I had to get the check in the mail. Then I had to draw. Now, you think it's a hassle now. It was just normal then. So that's another thing that helped me. Being more responsible, being, for bills, understanding credit cards. And because when you get a corporate card, it's under your credit rating. And I didn't know that till my boss told me. He goes, make sure you pay it every month. So there's so many things with dealing with people, and bills and flights and late flights. I mean, I could tell you a couple of stories. I mean, not leaving a country because they thought I wasn't the other person in the company. There's all sorts of mistakes that happen when you're out and traveling abroad. But it's also, you know, in North America and going to Canada, go to Mexico, going to almost pretty much every single state in the United States, you know, learning how to, you know, just be by yourself, because I rarely ever had anybody with me. If I did, you know, like another engineer, it was for a different project. But yeah, all the different life experiences, everything from, I mean, I've been divorced. I loved my ex-wife. I, you know, just didn't work out, had a couple of kids. But without those things, I wouldn't be here where I am now. I wouldn't have learned different things. I wouldn't have understood myself, my own insecurities, my own, well, you don't call them deficiencies, but whatever word you want to put on it, my own insecurities, I think is the best way to describe it. And if I didn't have those experiences, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you right now.
Right, right. Now you mentioned something, and I think that many people often use this as a negative or as a bad thing. You talked about you were behind the scenes, and I've heard people say that you can't lead from behind, but that's not true. That is not true. How many people have such an incredible job, such a responsible job, that if they fall through the cracks, if something happens with them, nothing goes on.
Right.
So it's you are a leader wherever you are. If you realize, even though you're behind the scenes, even though you may not be someone who's out front, if you're a leader, it shows, and your presence will be missed if you don't come through.
You said that so eloquently and right on point. This is why I know we like to talk to. Sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes we talk. We schedule for an hour. Next thing is 2 hours later. And go, we better get off the phone.
Right.
It's so true. Now that I'm doing stuff with the movie and everything, and all my philosophy and my classes and all this stuff, the whole thing is it's behind the scenes, and I'm not doing it to have the, you know, the accolades. It's not in my conscience. It doesn't matter to me. Now some people, oh, you're going to get this, you're going to get that. I'm like, whatever. Because to me, it's about changing people's lives. It's about transforming people's lives.
Right.
It's not changing.
Right.
It's not like changing a pair of pants. You want to transform people's lives. You want to be able to see that you're inner knowing. You know everything from the inside out. And it's so true. And that is a great, I'm glad you brought that out, because that was a huge learning experience, realizing that, you know what, I got more satisfaction from being behind the scenes, and you're 100% correct. It's that piece of the puzzle that's missing. Suddenly it don't work no more.
Right, right. And leaders don't have to have a title. They don't have to have a position. You don't have to put them out front. You don't even have to acknowledge them.
No.
If you allow them to be who they are and do what they do, they will lead from right wherever they are. And that's what's important.
Yes, yes. You're absolutely right. It's if you're looking for the accolades, and it's okay if that's who you are, that's fine. I found it doesn't work. It's kind of like, again, if this works for you, it doesn't work for me and me only. If you're out for the money, you're going to be sorely disappointed. If you're looking out for the fame and fortune, you're going to be sorely disappointed, because inside your soul, inside your being, that's not what we're here for. And again, it's just for me. I mean, if that's for you, that's great. But to me, it's more of, you know, when I do my meditation classes once a month at the Good Sam Health Club near me here, I just did this Wednesday was my monthly one. I mean, it's an hour. I sit there for another 40 minutes talking to the people. It's not like we have hundreds of people. We have maybe 5, 10, 12 people. It's a health club. And and I get new people every week, even if it's or every month, maybe 1 or 2. And beyond, I love this class. I want to come back. It doesn't matter. Something I wanted to tell you this. I know you'd appreciate it and understand it. Maybe you told me this. If I did, you tell me. Somebody told me that you're not just communicating. Said, I would like to have more people understand this mind philosophy and your inner knowing more than the people that I'm doing in the class, even though I like small classes. So you're already doing it. Did you tell me this?
Yeah, I think so.
You might have. You take credit for it.
Yeah.
And if you did, you probably did. He said, no, you did actually. You're right. It just came into my mind. You're right. I did bring this up. I think when you were here visiting here in Chicago, and we met for coffee, because you said, yeah, you were right. What happened is, you said you are reaching more. I was like, how? It's like, because when I tell Kevin, Kevin tells his son tells his wife tells his friend, and it's multiplying. You told me that.
Right.
You're the one.
Right.
So I give you 100% credit on that. but it's very, very true. And it's not, it goes further than the accolades, right? It goes further than the money. And when I have people coming up in my class, it doesn't happen every time, but one of them said she was in the emergency room like a few weeks ago, and she had one of my sheets. She brought it with because she didn't tell me what the problem was. And the doctor said, you needed to calm down. I could hear my conscious mind going, and she used my process and procedure, adapted it to her. He said it worked.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's like, thank you for doing that. That always doesn't happen, but it's like, yeah, it's so true. You're making more of a difference. And then it goes back to something even further. I know we've probably talked about this. I'm sure we did. Smiling at somebody that's giving you the cup of coffee.
Right.
Smiling at somebody that's giving you the server at the restaurant, or you're buying a shirt at the department store. You make a joke and make them smile. You just did it.
Yeah. Yeah. And those who are looking for the accolades, those who are looking for that shot of endorphins, because that's basically what it does. Shot of endorphins, that when someone calls their name and tells them that they're wonderful, that they're great, that's so fleeting.
Yes.
That lasts for a short while, then it's gone.
Yes.
So now you're chasing the next high. You're chasing the next shot of endorphins. What can I do? And you're chasing this thing of. I'll give you for an example, the way that we are on social media, how those dings on our phone often give us that shot of endorphins.
Yep.
that people think, I've got to answer that. That means I'm important. Or how many likes do I get on social media? All those kinds of things. Those things are so fleeting, and if you are hung up on those, then you're going to be constantly chasing the next one because it's so fleeting. Let's go.
Yeah, we better go on. Otherwise, we're going to keep talking. Go ahead.
Yeah. And I do want to get to the movie, so you can share some things about that.
Sure.
But and when we talk about leaders, what do you think the biggest need for in society for leaders is? What do you think leaders need in this society today?
Silence. They need time for silence. And also stop chasing after somebody else's, what I call the now future, their experience. Well, they did it in that business, well, I'm going to copy that. It doesn't work. But you need silence. You need peace. And I call it meditation. I call it prayer, whatever you want to call it. And you need time. Some of the best leaders, world leaders, business leaders, you can read about it. There's a ton of them out there that they took naps. They just laid down. And just being able to understand, to slow down the outside noise, have some time for yourself to stop. My experience is working harder doesn't equate directly to success. So success we define as money. No, it isn't. Success is not money. Success is you're making a difference, you're making a cup of coffee, whatever your product is. And then part of that success is getting money. That's how the world works. But if you're caught up with it and you listen to everybody else and there's too many things coming at you, control it by simply shutting off everything. I'm talking about your electronics, your TV, everything. I do a ton of praying and meditating all the time, all day long, while I'm awake, while my eyes open, or if I lay down for a few minutes. And it clears your mind because it's almost like hitting the reset button on your computer. So that time to just meditate. Meditation should be built into every company, should be built into every business, should be built into people's family lives. You might not call it meditation. Maybe you call it prayer, or maybe you call it a potato salad. It doesn't matter. Sitting down, finding an area, when you see my room here, this is my recording studio, but it's a place of peace. Blue's my spiritual color for me. It's my color spectrum of light that makes me feel good. And I'm praying down here, and it's an energy field. Create a positive energy field. Takes time. Take advantage of sleep. Don't go to sleep. And about other things for leaders. If you're going to sleep because you're exhausted, you're wasting sleep. You should be turning sleep into meditation. It's free. Wow. It's free. Dude, I have something called a mindful envelope that I came up with. And it's an envelope and it says ME on the front of the envelope, which is coincidence that it says me. I didn't think of it. So my prayers and meditation said, I say, open up the paper and I say, do this, do this, do this, and come up with your own. The whole idea is before you go to bed, you write down on this piece of paper something that you want to accomplish. I'm not talking about negativity. I'm not talking about anything bad. You want to be a better father, a better mother, a better friend. You want to make another $10. It doesn't really matter what it is. Something that you can feel, something you can see in your mind and you can feel it and it's positive. And mark it down. I fold up the paper, put it in the envelope. And now I gave myself a mindful envelope. I just send myself a letter. And I want to be able to go to bed at night in a state of being that's meditational. I want to be able to hit a lucid dream, or an awake lucid dream, as I call it, when you're awake. But when you're in that dream state, it's God's way of giving you a free pass for meditation. And you want to wake up in a positive manner. Because if you're watching Night of the Living Dead, or you're watching something negative before you go to bed, or you're having a bad conversation,
right.
Saying never go to bed angry, it's true.
Yeah.
So meditation, quiet time, and just surround yourself with positivity. I'd rather have one friend, one good worker, one partner, one whatever, than 99 other people bringing me down.
Right.
And you talk about social media.
Yeah.
To me, it's unsocial media. 99 people are bringing you down. There's one person that's saying you're positive.
Right.
Because it's easy to criticize. It's not. It's difficult sometimes to. Well, it's easy to criticize, but it's difficult to say you're doing a good job. People don't take compliments.
Right.
And you know what? I'll go back further. We were talking about leading from behind. Your team. Acknowledge your team. Don't create an energy field that just because you're in charge, you're in charge.
Absolutely.
Come in there and you've got your group, whether it's 1 or 50, it doesn't matter. It's an open forum, guys. I'm not going to be embarrassed. I expect to say, I didn't know. And a lot of people don't do that because I think it's the ego, right? You've got to present you're the president, you're the man in charge, you're the woman in charge, whatever. And it's let it go.
Yeah.
Because once you attract those people in your life, you want to pay. I'd rather pay more money for other people smarter than me than people that are at the same level. Or if you're the smartest person in the room, you're the wrong group.
You're right.
So yeah, it's just learn from understanding of listening to people, and trust your inner knowing, and trust what your soul, what your guidance is telling you inside, because it's normally right.
Yeah. And I go all over the country talking to people, doing workshops and speaking engagements and so forth on leadership. And one of the things that I share about leadership is that you have to have imagination. You have to be creative. And I don't know where we came up with this idea that you have to fill every waking moment with something. There's no downtime. There's no time for daydreaming. There's no time for imagining. We've got to. And I was reading just the other day about a study that was conducted by Adobe in 2012, and they found out, and this was global over several countries. They found out that 75% of adults feel that they are not living up to their creative potential. And not only that, they said that these people who that were in the survey said that they felt that their employers valued their productivity more so than their creativity.
Wow.
Now that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Because anytime that you value productivity, I mean, anytime your main focus is productivity, all you're going to ever get is more of the same.
Right. It's empty.
Right. So if you realize that creativity is important, then why not set aside some time for people to be creative? Set aside some time for people to daydream, to think, to just open their minds and not be worried about production at that particular time.
I think it's because we kind of glossed over it. We were talking on a lot of things in a short period of time. The ego gets in the way because you don't want to look. We're trained not to look vulnerable. We're trained not to not know. I've entered a world I know nothing about with what I'm doing with the movie. I mean, nothing. I know how to watch a movie. That's as far as I know. But I'm learning, and can it be uncomfortable? Absolutely. Yeah. But if you keep, again, this didn't happen overnight. It happened over a few years to find the right people. You have to trip over yourself. You have to admit you don't know. And then you have to learn that the people that said they knew, they didn't know blank. And it's like, but it's interesting. You said about that survey, 75%. You said
75%.
that's pathetic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where's the creativity? I mean, creativity got us Zoom technology or video technology. Zoom, or I'm sorry, creativity got us the basic telephone. I mean, telephones. Somebody had to invent a belt because everybody's pants were falling down. Somebody had to. You had to see it in your mind. And that's where it comes from. See it in your mind first, and then it comes out in the physical world through voice in your hands.
Right.
If you unleash that creative enzyme that's natural in every human being, that person in that room might have the new XYZ thing that you never, the new cell phone, the new this, the new that. Because when say, there's no new ideas anymore. Horse hockey is always new ideas all the time, but there's not people listening, and everybody's also we're talking. I love it. You're not sitting down. You got to be busy 24 hours a day. Check the email, check the, slow the heck down, because you're not going to find out those serendipities, those accidents, those coincidences, those things, those spiritually guided detours as I'm talking about, to sit down a cup of coffee. When we met for coffee when you were here in town a little while ago, I mean, I think we were there for like 2 hours. I didn't even know we were that long ago. We better get out of here. We got things to do. Because you surround yourself with those people. You surround yourself, you imagine those people. And I would rather make less money and be more satisfied with not the production, but just that feeling of making a difference with everybody around me.
I heard someone say, and I don't remember who it was, but they said that we have built a society where everybody is racing to be second. Now let me break that down.
Yeah.
The first person has the wonderful idea. They have the imagination to create something, and then the second person just comes and puts a stamp on it, or puts a flap on it and says, "Okay, I made it better," or they put a little something else on it, another feature, but it's the same thing. You just add your little 2 cents to it. The idea of when you talk to people, oftentimes somebody will get up and say, "Oh, let me piggyback on that." Well, that's just something that's adding to what you've already done.
Right.
What about where's the new stuff? Where are the new ideas? Where are the new creations? Where are the new inventions? Where are the new cures?
You got me speechless for a minute, because you're 100% correct. It's you're not being able to release the other people. That's another thing I learned about life for me, is that, see, I would rather, my goal is to work less and make more money, because the idea of this is you don't have to work 40 hours. You don't have to work. The times have changed anyway over the past 20, 30 years. A gentleman named Earl Nightingale from the 50s said 40-hour work week won't be lasting forever. And that was like in the 50s or 60s. But the idea is that to release that energy, to release the imagination, and those endorphins, it's like piggyback. It's true. I didn't think about it that way. You're not contributing anything.
Right.
And it's like, no, let's take this square and make it into a circle. Well, I kind of got it into a circle, but I didn't. How can you do it? Oh, I didn't see I could cut that edge off. You want to support it, not to make it add this is better. That's not what I'm looking. But I think it really is what we're taught in school. And I'm not saying anything bad about school. You know that. We're taught in school, we're taught in our families, we're taught that's the way it is. And it's the dog chasing the tail mentality. It's the conscious mind. It's the constant going, I'm going to do it the same, I'm going to do it the same, I'm going to do it the same, and do it the same. One of my first engineering projects at my old job, they kept saying, well, we can't do that because we've done it this way for 50 years. I'm like, well, that's great. You're now going to do it this way. No, I didn't say it that way. But people don't like change. Human beings hate change. But for me, I invite change. I want change, because change is a spiritually guided detour to another level, or it's a learning experience. Because if I view it as something that I can grow from, it now changed into, why did I break my leg? Why did I lose my job? Why did I get divorced? Why did I fill in the blank? To what can I learn from this? What can I get out of it? And God, I need some guidance. Can you help me here? And you start looking at it, and you calm down, and you do it plainly. You don't, like you said, don't get on the idiot boxes looking for the answers. We are already the idiots. We have our own answers. We don't need any more noise.
Right.
Yeah, so that's the way I look at it.
All right, but before we get too far into this, let's talk about your movie.
Okay.
Give, excuse me, give us the rundown on what's going on.
Okay, so buddy, it's almost March already, and of 2025, and 24 was a transformational year. It took me several years, without going into the details. Bottom line is, I either wanted to know somebody in the entertainment business or know somebody that knew somebody in the entertainment, and I got both. So right now, I've got 2 producers, 3 screenwriters, and a graphic artist working on my movie called Ajanoi, AJA that you said earlier. AJA is your soul. NOI is your knowledge, together it's your soul knowledge, and I teach people that. It's not going to be the philosophy necessarily, but it's going to be something like that. It's going to be very cool, very different. I have tons of drawings and tons of concepts, and I'm working with one producer very closely in Hollywood that has, it's funny. You know, talking about the behind the scenes. When you look at a movie, you look who directed the movie.
Right.
You look at the music. Maybe. You're not looking at who's the producer. You're passing. Get that crap out. I want to know the name of that actor I just saw.
Yeah.
So the people that I'm working with are the things you talked about earlier. Without them, the movie doesn't get made. Without the financing, without the distribution, where it goes in the world or how it's getting out there, it doesn't get made. And my relationship is now growing another 25%. Because I want to be 100% with the door open. And like any business I'm discovering, whether it's your business or my business or whatever listener's business is, it's a small group of people. Everybody knows you.
Mm-hmm.
So you get that reputation, and when somebody is coming in there to say, hey, I want to work with you. Me, little old me, the balding Jewish guy in Downers Grove, Illinois, 62 years old, going, you want to work with me to make a movie? So it's either going to be, an animated movie, 30, 40 million, or maybe 100 million for a real movie. And I say these numbers like, oh, that's no big deal. But you know what? It's going to happen. Does it happen tomorrow? No. They move at the speed of dead because that's the way. It's a behemoth. When you make a movie, it's not like you're going to a corporate job and going, Kev, let's take a few people that we see every day, 40 hours a week. No. Mm-hmm. It's creative. And that's one of the things, you said earlier, and you alluded to it, but it's so true. The creative part of you, because I'm also a music composer. I play piano, guitar, bass, and drums. Piano and guitar is my number one. It's really piano more than anything. So I compose music. I have a philosophy, and now this movie's coming out, or not coming out, but I'm waiting for my one of my drafts of my next screenplay. Then they're going to sell it. Hopefully, if everything works out the way it is, I see we got enough time to sell it before the end of the year, and to a big production company. And I can't say anything right now because there's a lot of talk and a lot of behind the scenes, but it's all good. And again, it goes back to this thing. Am I worried about, he's going to say, created by Phillip Bogolub, blah, blah. There's an old saying, I don't remember which motivational speaker said, if you love it so much, you do it for free. Because it's something that if you're in it for the money, no. I'm in it for the creativity, the enjoyment, the enlightenment, the fun. The money always comes around. I'm not worried about that. Do I want to be, you want to make $10 billion? No, I don't. No, I'm not moving. I'm not going anywhere. But the movie's going really well. Once the screenplay is ready and then they have these other different things to work on, then they're going to sell it. So I would say this year, if everything lines up perfectly, it will be sold. Then I just got some other news with the extra 25% working with somebody else that I'm unable to share with you about that I'm going to supply the creative. You're talking about creativity. I'm going to supply the golden nuggets, the creative parts. And that person's going to help me get it made into a movie. And so it's that, this person is in already. And so the door was already 50% open. Now it's 75% open. My wife said, I think it's 100% open. I said, not yet. But, it's the idea of by the time I'm 65, everything's all moving. I'm writing music. I'm collaborating with people, doing movies. I'm having fun and all the other things I use in my imagination and creative mind. But it just, I got to tell you this, I know we've talked about it a lot, and it's probably coming to an end too with our interview. We could talk for days. When you imagine something and you feel it, it's for you. Yeah. When you force to imagine it and it makes you feel like crap, it ain't for you. And I found that everything I've been practicing for especially the past 8 months, it keeps coming true. It doesn't look like it. A lot of times it doesn't look anything like it, because originally I wrote a musical. Not doing a musical. Put that in the pocket. So it doesn't look like it. maybe bits, but I'm like, this call I had yesterday, I'm like, I hung up. I told my wife, I go, it's exactly what I've been talking about. She goes, you mean this, this, and this? And I go, yeah. And I go, wow. But you have to put a lot of energy. You have to put a lot of faith into it. You have to believe it. And you have to know that your purpose on planet Earth, your soul knowledge, knowledge of your soul, your purpose, why you're here is true. And slow down, like Kevin's saying. Slow down. Turn the stuff off. Put that creative imagination into being, because that's the thing that's going to guide you more than anything.
I totally agree. And I feel that when we have this creative force within us, we have to get it out, or it eats away at us. And that's what happens with a lot of people. That's why so many people are depressed. So many people are down and out, because there's something within them that wants to get out, and they have no outlet for it. I've come to find out that sometimes you have to make the outlet for yourself.
Yes.
Because people are not going to present that. I mean, every now and then you find an opportunity that comes to you, but sometimes you have to make that opportunity for yourself.
Nobody's going to your exact point, nobody's going to be more in love with your thing other than you.
Absolutely.
Not to say you don't have support.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. But like I'm getting now, because I don't know how to write a screenplay. I don't know how to be a producer. But I'm a creator and I'm a writer, but I'm not that you've got to surround yourself with the we, not the I. But yeah,
Right.
you hit that absolutely right. Hit that absolutely right.
So another question I want to get to. Well, first of all, let's talk about Ajanoi. Did I get it right?
You got it, man.
All right. Let's talk about that philosophy.
Sure. First of all, Ajanoi is a trademark, so you can't take it. Anyway, oh, that's one of the things I learned, and I'll get to Ajanoi then. Is one of the most important things about what I'm doing is intellectual property, as they call it. You need to own the stuff you have. So if you have a good idea, USPTO, United States Patent and Trademark Office, trademark it, own it, because it will be taken. So it's called Ajanoi, like I said. AJ is your soul, NOI is your knowledge. Together, I teach people the soul knowledge, and it has to do with a whole process and procedure that I have. One of them is called Awake Lucid Dreaming, and it has to do with the conscious, the subconscious, but it has to do with the balancing mind too in the middle, and the mystical, what I call the transcending mystical mind. And there's these. We can't really get into it in that depth. It's a very creative, imaginative state. And when I run my meditation classes, for the first half hour, that's all I do is talk about the philosophy in the mind. The second half hour, I talk about how to release that imagination that we've been talking about. And more than anything, it has to do with the prayer meditation. It has to do with universal mind of God, spirits, and angels. It has to do with coincidence, serendipity, and accidents. To discover and awaken transformation. So I'll go through it very quickly. You want something in your life. And you going, what am I supposed to learn from this? What am I supposed to get? It's something you lost your job, got divorced, fill in the blank, whatever it is. Or you just need guidance. So what we do is we run out to the now world and go to the idiot boxes that we talked about, or the idiot box plugged in the wall of the computer, or we look for somebody else and then we listen to those idiots, because we're idiots to think those idiots know us. And there's more noise created in the conscious mind and all this other stuff, because we're supposed to do it this way, but now this. So instead of doing that, you go through prayer and meditation. And again, this is more of a big picture really quickly. But you go through prayer and meditation and going, God comes down. So God is the CEO, the universal mind. There's over 50, close to 100 names that I found in, God, Atman, Krishna, potato salad, chocolate, whatever you call it, doesn't matter. So I call it universal mind. For me, it's God. Say, God, I need it. Now I'm praying and meditating. I see it in my mind clear as day. I feel it positive. I can feel my heart and just get warm and tingly, or whatever that is for you. So God goes, okay, Philip is really sincere. I'm going to send him the spirit guide. Now there's billions of spirit guides around. There's gazillions of them, and they're in the clouds. And I picture these spirit guides and the angels of just bubbles of colored spectrums of light, of energy, changing shapes, colors, and everything depending on what their purpose is. So God goes, okay, you over there, you spirit guide, you got to go down there. You're sitting on the cloud. You are going to go down below the clouds and get the angels, because we need to get this activated so we can set things up for Philip to get some guidance. So the angels are like that light that comes through the window. You see all those particulates going around? Those are angels in the wind. There's gazillions of them. Did you ever notice that? Because it's dust. basically. Do you ever notice when you dust something, 5 minutes later, the dust comes back? Because those are the angels in the wind. That's the way I believe in. And those little angels, there's gazillions of them. And each of them, on every little speck of dust, every little speck of wind, every little thing you see in the air, each one has 3 angels: serendipity, accident, and coincidence. So how does that work? Well, once you're aware of this and know how the process and procedure works, you just don't sit there and flip channels or go through your phone or just sit there and have a beer at home alone. The awareness is not enough. You got to go beyond your awareness. You have to do an action. You got to talk to Kevin. You got to meet somebody for a cup of coffee. You interact with somebody at work. You meet somebody. You bump into somebody. The coincidence, how somebody comes up into your life. The coincidence, how you happen to bring that up. So the coincidence or serendipity angel goes in through Kevin to tell me something that I need to hear. And then I go, aha, I got a discovery. It's awakening, and it's transforming my life. Conscious, balancing mind, subconscious. And you start the whole process over again. The whole idea is to understand that you are your answers to yourself. You were talking about earlier, you got to do it for yourself because you have to, because no one knows who you are. And what I have found in this philosophy, because it has to keep starting over and over and over again, it's you don't really get rid of the conscious mind. The conscious mind is the mind of how to go to the bathroom, how to wipe your tush, how to blow your nose, how to comb your hair, all the things that you've learned in your life. It's also what you stand for, how you believe in, how you hate, how you love, by your parents, your family. And I'm not knocking this or anything, but your teachers. But that we call our personality. And guess what? It's not your personality. That's somebody else's stuff. And somebody else did that before them. That's why we keep fighting and arguing and go to wars all the time, because we keep doing this. We talked about this earlier, doing the same thing over and over again.
Right.
So to get out of that thing, you need to go into what I call the balancing mind, the balancing control center mind. And it's the second dimension. And what you do is you create a physical representation of yourself in the mind, and you create like a hurricane around you. That when you're out in the world and when you're doing things, in the eye of the storm of a hurricane or tornado, it's the most peaceful place to be. So you've got to keep yourself in the eye of the storm and let the storm outside you just drizzle away any negativity that comes towards you. But unfortunately, when the hurricane or the tornado moves, you lose sight of it. You're no longer in the center. Now you're in the hurricane. So you need to kind of be out there, realizing that there's an experience for you. You might run into things that are negative, but you let that bounce off you until you find out, and you keep that image in your mind. You keep the positivity going. You keep the energy and the feeling going. You dream about it all the time. You write about it all the time. You talk about it all the time. You never talk about the stuff you don't want, because then you get more stuff you don't want. And when you talk about the stuff you want, you get more stuff that you want. And it takes time. It's not this quick, rich scheme or get your relationship or get your marriage. And you don't get don't ignore the now future. That's the experiences that are going on right in front of you. Create a future right now. You create a wedding 3 years from now right now. You create a vacation 3 months from now right now. You do this all the time. Let your mind wander. Let that transcending mystical mind open up. Let imagination do it. I've got, in my mind, in my subconscious imaginational mind, I've got 4 different dimensions. And I have a whole world. I have stairs. I have a control center that I sit on. I have a monitor that I look through. I have oceans. I have rivers. I got so many things that I have memory leaps. I got so many things that keep my mind occupied with what I want to do. The most important thing with Ajanoi, or anything for that matter, would be keep yourself focused. I'd rather have 0 friends than 1 friend who's negative, or one good friend, or 99 that are negative, like we said before. So that's the whole idea of Ajanoi. You've got several different minds. You got the balance control center mind. You got the conscious, the subconscious. You got the mystical mind. You've got all these things to create within your imagination, and that's why I teach people in the class. A lot of this, it's not going to be what I'm saying is not going to necessarily be the movie, but it's going to be the movie on steroids.
Phil, you're really dealing with some heavy stuff.
Yeah, I am. I don't know if I lost everybody.
No. It's really some heavy stuff, and we're going to have you back again and again, so we can really deal with this a lot more in depth.
Thank you.
Last thing I want to ask you,
sure,
is what do you consider success, and how does one go about getting it?
Love. I consider that I'm giving love. I know it sounds very hokey, like a Hallmark movie. Not that I hate Hallmark movies; they're good. Love. Saying I love you, having people that love you back, and That's what just makes my whole life whole, is realizing the gifts that I have. Not, I'm talking about the ego. I'm talking about, I got my sight. I got my hearing. I'm talking to Kevin. I met him a couple of years ago or a year ago, whatever. We're becoming and have become friends. It's long distance, but it's like, there's, I think, in the morning when I brush my teeth, I go, thank you. I don't say thank you, God. God knows. Thank you for the toothpaste. Thank you for the water. Thank you for the plant in the room. Thank you for because somebody had to invent that and made my life. There's people that there's people that don't have still, which is unfortunate.
Right.
Most of the world, unfortunately, still doesn't have clean water and stuff, which is unacceptable to me. But I can't change that. I can do a little part if I can. I could donate time or money, but I can't change that. I'm not big enough to do that. I don't have the power to do that.
Right.
Just people have their own individual power to do it. But it's like there's so many things to be grateful for that I'll never run out of things to thank God for.
Great. Last thing, how do listeners contact you for more information?
555-121. No, I'm just kidding. Bogolub Records. That's buy one, get one. That's Bogolub, Bogolub Records, RECORDS, at gmail.com. Or you can always call me. I have a website, but you can always call me. I prefer a call. Or you can, bogolubrecords at gmail.com. You can email me there. Any way you'll find me. If you type in Bogolub Records or the word Ajanoi, Ajanoi, you'll find me.
Okay. I thought you were getting ready to say BR549. I don't know if you remember that.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. Thank you for having me on, Kevin. I really appreciate it.
We enjoyed having you and love everything that you're doing. Looking forward to seeing the movie come out soon.
Yes.
Last thing, this is something that I say on the end of every podcast. The secret to success is not doing the right things, but becoming the right person, the real you. Join me in becoming a better person. Bye-bye. See you next time.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Imagining Bridges to Better Leadership. We hope today's episode gave you valuable insights and strategies to strengthen your leadership and build better connections. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share the podcast with other leaders who are ready to transform their teams and communication. Until next time, keep building bridges and creating better leadership in every connection you make.